Oh. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om from Niagara Falls and joyous Hanuman Jayanti to all. Imagine wanting what you need. If you want what you need, then living would become quite easy, correct? So you want oxygen, you want water. That's the only wants you have, is that which you need. Living becomes quite easy then. Now make this deeper. Imagine loving your responsibilities. If you love your responsibilities, then living wouldn't just be easy, living would be joyous. And that's what we are exposing ourselves to. That's what we are trying to invoke. We are already oriented to act. Even think, as I'm speaking, the mind is active, the body is active. We're already oriented to act. As we complete chapter 3 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the what act is full. Now we have to go to the why act. That has to be fuller as we complete this chapter. We spend a lot of time on what actions. Now that final emphasis is put on the why. Okay. A couple of weeks ago, we studied how seva is an ideal forum for us to practice this vision of karma yoga. And our Guru Shishya Parampara has blessed us so directly by giving us a field in which to engage in seva, to administrate, to coordinate, to teach. And if you think quite specifically about Swami Chinmaya and Chinmaya Mission, what a field this one ambassador of the Guru Shishya Parampara has given to millions to engage in karma yoga. And if you're not feeling what I'm saying, imagine the absence of Swami Chinmaya and Chinmaya Mission. Then it will become more real to you, correct? Hanumanji is most loved, and this is irrespective of the fact that he worked with so many types of people. Even his enemies loved him. Now for us, working with people is so difficult. This person likes me, this person doesn't like me, this person criticizes me, this person praises me. Working with people is hard. We know Hanumanji because everyone loved him. Not everyone loved Bhagwan Rama. Not everyone loved Mother Sita ignorantly. And that's why Hanumanji is so relatable, because we want to be like that. And this field that the Guru Shishya Parampara has given to us, with so many people to work with, so many types of people to work with, it is our blessing to really develop that vision that the person across from us is Bhagwan. That takes years and lifetimes of practice. But imagine you didn't have the field. As you go about working with people, the three areas of clarity that we need are clarity of purpose. Why are you engaged in this action? Why are you working with this person? Behind that, or coming closer, is clarity of the path. Once you have clarity of purpose, then clarity of path is needed too. When we were in Orlando last week and we were trying to fly to Newark, the purpose was clear. We had to go from Orlando to Newark, but the path wasn't clear. There was too many thunderstorms, so we got delayed. So those two have to be there. And then even more immediate is clarity of people. If you're going to get to that purpose through the path, it is people that are going to take you there. Now you think, Swami Chinmaya never wanted an organization, but he was such an administrator that he knew that you can't do all of the work by yourself. So many people pride themselves on being perfectionists. That's actually a justified weakness, that you can't work with people, that you think you're perfect and nobody else is. You can't do more work as a perfectionist. You do less work as a perfectionist. With this clarity of purpose and path and people, then dharma is not just theory. Dharma is in the form of application, and dharma is that which integrates. Someone had asked, how do you know if you're engaged in dharma? You feel more integrated. You sleep better, you speak better, you're healthier, you can do more, you know how to say no. That integration. So today, were you engaged in dharma? Last Tuesday from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., were you engaged in dharma? What was last week? This is a subjective science. Finally, you will know the why of your actions. We continue. Okay, this is our 5th week thinking about just with this one chapter. We do a lot of training of our Balavihar administrators and coordinators and teachers. On that note, I want to invite all of you that August 19th and 20th, that Acharya Darshana from Chinmaya Mission Houston will be facilitating a Balavihar teachers training workshop. That's a Saturday and a Sunday, all Saturday, half Sunday, in Houston. And for all of the centers that I work with, I hope you can fly there. But if you can't, this is going to be broadcasted to Chinmaya Dhara in Niagara Falls. So anyone who can't go there must come to Niagara Falls for this training. And during such training, we tell our teachers that if a student asks you a question and you don't know the answer, what should you do? Everyone's answer is, make something up. There's kids. What do they know? That will be the end of your Balavihar teaching career if you choose that route. If you don't know the answer, admit that you don't know the answer. Because this is a faith-based subject, so that relationship is more important than you knowing or not knowing. And making this even more deep, if you change these words not knowing to avarna. Avarna means covering, hiding. Where there's avarna, we engage in vikshepa, which is projection, which is lying. See, in our Balavihar setting, if you don't know, admit it. Why don't we do that in reality? In all of our affairs, that if we don't know who we are, why do we keep projecting that we're this or that? Specifically, why do we project that we are the body, the mind, the intellect, the ego, equipments. With this vikshepa comes kartritva. Kartritva means doership. And doership quite simply is, instead of I have equipments, that word have turns into I am equipments. So what is doership? Instead of I have, it is I am equipments. And if you are equipments, equipments are always doing. If I am the car, then my doership is I am driving. I am the mind, I say I am thinking. Which is so different than I have a mind, in which case my sentence would be, the mind is thinking, I am not thinking. Imagine the freedom if every thought that goes through our mind, especially those negative thoughts, that I was able to cut that vikshepa. The mind has negative thoughts. It is not that I am these negative thoughts. And we all know this. Every one of us knows that we have equipments, that we are not equipments. Yet every one of us struggles with limitation because we know, yet we don't know. If you take the first shloka, Chopai of Hanuman Chalisa, Jai Hanumana Jnana Guna Sagara. And I just explained to everyone, when you have these two synonyms, you have to take one as theory and one as application. So jnana is theory. Guna then is application. We have lots of theory. We went through the Foundation Vedanta course, the Advanced Vedanta course, now the Bhagavad Gita course, we have about the Upanishad course that's about to start. Lots of theory, but the application is not clear. If you go back to the Advanced Vedanta course, we spent a lot of time with these two statements. Do you know what two statements I'm going to be sharing with all of you relating to the equipments? That which is mine cannot be me. And then I said a related statement, that which I know cannot be I. So mine and me are different, know and I are different. We have equipments. We are not the equipments. As long as this is not clear, there will be more karta, more doership. And what comes with doership? More bhokta, more deservership. And the more deservership there is, I depend on that. So what do I need to do more of? More karta. If you watch that Simon Sinek video, every time you are elated because of a like on a posting on Facebook or Snapchat or something like that, if that elates you, if that raises you, bhokta, that's my picture. That's my posting. So the karta was there, so the bhokta is there, so now I have to do more karta. Now I have to put up a rad every day for years, and now that you've started, you can't stop, correct? See the trap in a non-thinking way of living. But for the one who is thinking, vicharena nivartate, the one who thinks is freed, in their reflection, they come to understand that all of our experiences are a game of the gunas that are engaging with the gunas. That's a lovely thought from chapter 3 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that this equipment that is made up of the gunas, there's lots of tamas, some rajas, even less sattva. The orange across from me is also made up of the gunas. The laptop is made up of the gunas, and you're made up of the gunas, and the world is made up of the gunas. This is a game of the gunas. And to understand that this is a game, instead of the karta bhava, we have to practice the sakshi bhava. The sakshi means the one who's the witness, the one who observes. if I'm an observer, I understand what I'm observing more carefully, more clearly, that the limits of what I'm observing do not apply to me. I stressed in the Advanced Vedanta course that moksha is not becoming free. Moksha is knowing that I'm not bound. And Sakshi Bhava, a way to make that more real. Now, many of you will be thinking, but how? How do we become the Sakshi? I was in Manhattan last Saturday, and our young adults made a wonderful meal for our lunch bhiksha. And someone had asked this, how do we become more mindful? And I had shared. Try to remember this. A place for everything, and everything in its place. A place for everything, and everything in its place. If you are mindful that there is a place for everything, for coats and cars and your pen and your emails and your bank balances and all of that, there's a place for everything, then put those things in its place. You will start to develop Sakshi Bhava, observership with materials. And if you learn to do it with materials, you start to do the same with the mind. Okay, so that's how we get to become more clear about this game of gunas. This is a much more interesting show than the Game of Thrones. It is a much more sattvic show than the Game of Thrones, and it's a much more entrapping game than the Game of Thrones. There's only so many episodes on Netflix for that. That's an HBO and so on. This has been going on for possibly 1 billion years. To encourage us to be more dedicated in the way that we live, where we love our responsibilities. There are 5 pointers that are given, okay? And you know these, and we've already studied these, but that's the love of Bhagavan Krishna, that repetition is powerful. So he says, to encourage dedication. And when you encourage dedication, you're discouraging doership. They're antonyms. Number 1, focus on dedication because it reduces regrets. Focus on dedication because it reduces regrets. Where do regrets live? In the past. The more dedicated you are, the more you live in the present, man. People say that, but they don't give any pattern on how to do that. It's so frustrating when people say, just forgive. Really? How? Focus on dedication because it reduces anxiety. Okay, that's number 2. Focus on dedication because it reduces anxiety. Parents, when you become a parent, you also become anxious, isn't it? How pridefully all the parents are saying yes. I'm working so hard to inhibit that in my own personality, which is why I keep wanting to name our child Shukadeva. Do you all know the story of Shukadeva? See, the more publicly I announce this, hopefully this will go into, this inception will take place then. Is it a good idea, everyone? Yeah, they're all saying unanimous. They all have their hands up. Shukadeva was in his mother's womb, I believe, for, I don't know if it was 3 years or 12 years. Way longer than biology right now. And his mother was becoming quite uncomfortable. And so she was telling her husband, Vedavyasa, that get him out! You know, these artificial inductions and so on, homeopathic medicine, none of that was there. So Vedavyasa, because he's a seer, he was able to communicate to his son saying, why don't you want to come into this world? And Shukadeva said, because I know that this world is created and governed by Maya, and I will be trapped by Maya. The game of the gunas I just talked about. And Shukadeva, out of love for his wife, Vedavyasa, out of love for his wife, blessed Shukadeva, saying that if you come out into this world, Maya will not be able to touch you. And so he's born, and he is free. And it's so funny, Vedavyasa immediately develops anxiety about, hey, Shukadeva, where are you going? So parents, even Vedavyasa was anxious, but he was God. And we are too, but he knew he was God. So his was more of a game than our suffering. But focus on dedication reduces anxiety. Number 3, focus on dedication because it reduces disturbance. Anxiety comes in the future, disturbance comes in the present. Even in the present, we can be disturbed. Today, someone had emailed me at 6:52 saying, is the Human to Hanuman class locked? I can't get in. And I rushed home from work. And I said, no worries, it opens at 6:55. And it was so cool to see so many cameras come up at once. It was really like buying concert tickets. But this was even better, buying, entry into this jnana yajna. But we get disturbed even in the present too. Number 4, focusing on dedication reduces seeking gain. Seeking gain. When we're not dedicated, it's always about what do I get? But when we're dedicated, it's not about what do I get. And number 5 is, when we focus on dedication, it reduces seeking loss. Okay? We don't seek loss consciously, but we fear loss. So imagine you can be without regrets and anxieties and disturbances and the fear, the seeking of gain and the fear of loss. Won't you love your responsibilities then? Won't you be joyous? Now, does any of this have to do with your responsibilities directly? It's all about you. It is about your vision or lack of. And to wrap up section 3:12, there's such a powerful contemplative quote by Bhagat Singh. How many of you have never heard of Bhagat Singh before by a show of hands? That's a new name to you. Okay. Bhagat Singh was the freedom fighter for Bharat. And this is the quote, just to give you that little bit of context. I am willing to cut my head for my country. Why then would I hesitate to cut my hair? Bhagat Singh is a Sikh, so growing their hair is a sacred symbol. And he says, I'm willing to cut my head. And you may have seen some pictures of some of these Sikh freedom fighters or gurus with their head on a platter. That's what this means. I'm willing to cut my head for my country. Why then would I hesitate to cut my hair? See that dedication. Is there any regret, anxiety, disturbance, gain, or loss? Dedicated to one's country. How you and I can start to focus on dedication is to become more generous. The more you give, the less you're focusing on deservership and doership. I shared last week in the Moha Mudgara course, we should learn to give until it hurts. And when it hurts, keep giving. Resources and time and effort. So many people are so shaky with committing to seva. There's no time. Commit. Watch how organized you get. But you haven't tried, which is why this is just theory. We have this habit to hold ourselves back. And when you hold yourself back, we're only holding ourselves back to limitation. And when we give, we're giving up those limits. So how to encourage this dedication? Be, in Hanuman Chalisa's language, Danavira. Be known for your generosity. I move to 313 and 314. Swami Tejamananda had written in this portion of this lesson, the one who is faithless often remains pathless. The one who is faithless often remains pathless. And I'm going to bring this out much more strongly at the end of chapter 4 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavan Krishna says the one who doesn't have faith has nothing here and definitely doesn't have anything in their future. Now hear the opposite. This is a quote from Swami Tapovanam, which is so related to Hanuman Jayanti today. When the fire of faith burns within, one cannot feel even the benumbing cold. When the fire of faith burns within, one cannot feel even the benumbing cold. People live like this. You know, at one point, when Swami Tapovanam was traveling to Kailasha, some thieves saw him in the distance, and they came towards him. And when they saw him, they realized that they had nothing to steal from him. They gave him stuff. Now, you think of all of the people who go to Kailasha now. They go on their helicopters and their jeeps and their donkeys and their mech coats and their Columbia shoes and their REI backpacks, and on them is $15,000, and they pay another $15,000 to get there, correct? He would go on a muumuu. Do you know what a muumuu is? It's just a long dress almost, bare feet, leave alone hiking shoes. Because that fire, it's not even faith. For him, it's just trust. In our Hanuman Chalisa Yajna, we had a discussion. Did you know you can all have a discussion amongst yourselves? We can actually take all of you and put you into breakout rooms, which is so cool. Days when I'm not available, you should have discussions, right? Because you all missed class last week, correct? I just closed my eyes temporarily. Their discussion point today was, Tumarakchaka kaho ko darana. And I asked them to discuss how to be courageous through God. How to be courageous through God. I want you to think about that also. If you want to be stronger, you need to have faith. And this faith has to begin with yourself. Okay? Now you may be thinking that's so easy to say, but you do have faith in a worldly way. You have faith in your tap water, other than if you live in a certain city in America, correct? You have faith in the person who cuts your hair. How is it that you have faith in a worldly way? Take that same protocol and now direct it towards yourself. You have to have faith in yourself to be able to do all of this. And if you don't, then another name for us is Duryodhana. Duryodhana shares at the end of, not in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, but essentially that, and in Mahabharata, he says, I know what I should do, but I just can't do it. He went to the Gurukul too, correct? With Bhagavan Krishna, etc. Ravana was a scholar. Ravana, I don't know if you know this, he performed Bhagavan Shiva's Griha Pravesha Puja. Ravana was the pujari for Bhagavan Shiva and Mother Parvati's Griha Pravesha Puja. And when it came to asking for dakshina, you know what Ravana asked for? For that house itself. Lanka was built for Bhagavan Shiva, specifically for Mother Parvati. She was tired of living outside. Even that on a mountain. She wanted a proper place. So Vishwakarma, who's the divine architect, he built Lanka for Mother Parvati. But Ravana says, I want Lanka. And you can't say no to Dakshina. Right, everyone? So my point is that Ravana also knew what was right, but he just couldn't do it. In Duryodhana's case, in Ravana's case, it is a lack of faith in oneself. And we lack faith in ourselves when we don't know who we are. So I'm going to tell you today at 9:11 p.m., April 11th, 2017, who you are. But I'm going to tell you who you are in numbers. Okay, so here you are. You are 90% vasanas. Who you are right now, 90% of who you are right now is your vasanas. I'd like to change that number. Sorry, 95%. 95% is your vasanas. 4% is your mind intellect. And naturally then 1% is the body. So 1% is the B, 4% is the MI, and 95% is that V. The body is conscious, the mind intellect is subconscious, and the vasanas are unconscious. In other words, nature is extremely powerful. And for that person who's so lost in doership, they believe nurture can change all of nature. But that person's still stuck on theory and hasn't tried changing. It's hard, no? Becoming more patient, more compassionate, not eating something, not drinking something. These vasanas are forever on the move. These vasanas I want you to think of as a blueprint, okay? And every thought that we have affects this blueprint. Every single thought we have affects this blueprint. And the more you have a certain type of thought, that blue mark on that blueprint becomes deeper, right? But if it's only one thought, it's almost like your nail scratches against that paper, so nothing really happens. You can't even recognize that trace. That's what a vasana is. It is just these thoughts that start to create, start to vikshepa, project who we are. And so who we are today is not because of the Bhagavad Gita course. It is not because of 2017 or even this year, lifetime. It is lifetimes of scratching, drawing, imprinting, habits. And now the most important point in all of this is we created all of this. Who you are today, you may not have created in this last 4 months, but who you are, you have created. And if there's anything that you dislike, if there's anything that you dislike, only you can uncreate that. And it's important to know how much of who you are is vasanas to make us understand and appreciate the magnitude of effort that is required for permanent change. The magnitude of surrender that is needed. I've shared so many times, this is not a casual affair. This is a full-time job. Many centers I go to that are newer, ones that I get to be part of as their beginning, they have to understand that serving Chinmaya mission is your part-time job. And if you're not treating this like a part-time job, then you're not deriving what this knowledge can give you. And you're not giving back to it either. See, you start off making this a full-time job and train yourself so that everything you do then, you have that same vision. The part-time job leads to the full-time job, but if you're not even treating it like a part-time job, these vasanas will run us around chaotically. So how do we deal with these vasanas? So I'm going to give you 5 points on how to deal with these vasanas. How to change who one is. Number one, steadiness. Steadiness makes such a difference over the long run. Just like interest on a credit card. If you have $1 owing on your credit card and you don't pay it for 10 years, that becomes a whole lot of money, correct? And it's steadily, that compound interest just keeps on accumulating. Steadiness. And that's why we should never run away from repetition. How many of you have studied chapter 3 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita before? A few of you have. How many of you studied it 5 times? No? Okay. You will. You will need to. And that repetition starts to recreate who we are. Number 2, be in a conducive environment. How to recreate our vasanas to be more joyous? Be in a conducive environment. I always tell our young adults who are not married thus far, you should find someone who you like 80%. And the last 20% you will learn, or should learn, for that to become love. All the people who are married, yes? They're all just looking at me, staring at me right now. Example didn't work. But find that conducive relationship. Find that conducive school, city, job, neighborhood, car. Okay? Number 3, follow your responsibilities. Follow your responsibilities. You have a custom created context, custom created by Bhagavan for your vasana exhaustion. Every person has a specific context that's just for them. So follow the responsibilities that comes with your context. And escaping will only add more vasanas. What was number 1? Be steady. Number 2, find a conducive environment. Number 3, follow your responsibilities. Number 4 is use preferences instead of likes and dislikes. Use preferences instead of likes and dislikes. I have salt and black pepper cashews in front of me. And I have a preference for spicier peanuts or cashews or any sort of nuts. Like they should put chutney puri in that and mix it all up, and some scorpion peppers from Trinidad. That should also be in there, and so on and so forth. But Sobeys, our grocery store, probably doesn't know what that is, and so they don't make that. So fine, I have a preference for that. But if I like those really hot peanuts and Sobeys doesn't make it, then Sobeys is a useless grocery store and nobody should shop there. See how likes and dislikes just makes you shake this way and then shake that way? But preferences is really just an expression of your personality. Do you prefer pinto beans or refried beans? And if you prefer refried beans but pinto beans come, fine. But if you like refried beans and pinto beans come, it's not a very good meal. And the person who made it purposefully did that to spite you. And see how you get lost in that game. Preferences. And finally, we should have clarity of knowledge about who we are to not be affected by our vasanas. That's number 5. Clarity of knowledge of who we are. And if you are 100% sure that you are Atman, then why are we even discussing vasanas? See how everything becomes redundant, not required. That clarity of knowledge. To wrap up this evening's discourse, at the end of chapter 3 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Prince Arjuna is becoming very sincere, very open. And he asks Bhagavan Krishna, he says, Bhagavan, why do people who know what is right still do what is wrong? Why do people who know what is sattvic still engage in papa? And Bhagavan says, the reason why we engage in papa, and the word papa means ajnanam pati, that which protects ignorance. And just for your understanding, punya, or merit, means manaha punati, that which purifies the mind, or purifies ignorance. Bhagavan says, the reason why, even though we have all of this theory, why we're unable to follow this, to turn it into application, is kama. The cause is kama, and the effect is krodha. Desire and anger is the reason why there's a disintegration between jnana and vijnana, philosophy and practice. If you fundamentally know how much sorrow is inside of you, that will be jet fuel for you to shift towards knowing joy. And the opposite is true too. If you fundamentally know that your nature is joy, it will be jet fuel to purge yourself of sorrow. And so as we study how awesome this vision of karma yoga is, if we have just knowledge of sorrow, that's good enough to make us change to live joyously. And if we have the knowledge of joy, that's good enough for us to leave a life of sorrow. Chapter 3 is not about the karma. Chapter 3 is about the yoga. Yoga is not a asana, or a prana, or a karma, or a kriya. Yoga is a darshana, a vision. And it is your responsibility not to dilute that for yourself, nor for others. Narayana.